In 1 year, went to 40,000 subscribers, $56,000 in AdSense. On a faceless channel, I think every entrepreneur who's not on YouTube, dude, you're missing out like crazy.
The video's good or it's not. If I click through one and you wasted my time, it's reading that, right? Like it's paying close attention to that.
My fourth and fifth videos don't get a lot of views, 2,000 views. I'm like, what's going on, dude? I want to quit. I posted my next video. Within the month, it got 7 million views. I made $14,000. I think one of the most important aspects of the success of the channel is
Welcome to the Wealthy Creator Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Berry, and today I got a very special guest. This guy, man, is doing it all in the content space. He himself has earned over 73 million views. He started a channel and in 1 year monetized it, got 40,000 subscribers and $56,000 in revenue. And he did all of that without showing his face. You're going to learn about that. You're going to learn his predictions for the next year. You're going to learn all about his story. My guy, Nolan Molt, is with me. What's up, man?
Yo, good to be here. I'm super happy that you asked me to be here, and we're going to give away all the secrets.
Absolutely, dude. Episode got going, so I want you all to tune in. We're going to jump straight into it. Tell me what it's like working for basically the biggest YouTube education channel there is, right?
Yeah, I mean, if people don't know who I am, maybe you heard of Think Media. You've heard of Sean. I work at Think Media as a content creator. And it's kind of crazy too, because I mean, Sean and Sonia just flew us all out here to Vegas. So that's why I'm here in Vegas. I'm from Washington State. And our whole team is here, and there's like 28 of us now. Or maybe there's like 28 of us here or something like that. And then there's some online, and we just hired like 400 or 500 people or something like that. So it's growing. And I think what's cool about Think Media is like Think Media is going to be around in 10 years and in 25 years and in 50 years. Like Think Media, I really think, you know, there's a lot of YouTubers, like YouTubers kind of come up and they fall off. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I respect about Sean so much is he's so consistent. And so I think like Think Media, we just like, we're going to reach 3 million subscribers, I'm sure this next year. And like we plan on hitting 10, and like YouTube's growing, the creator economy is growing. And so I think there are 10 million people that will subscribe to Think Media, you know, and, dude, it's really fun. And being by Sean, it's been cool just to see his evolution over the years. And it's what you're talking about. It's like Sean started in video and I started filming Sean. And it's like my skill sets have grown each year working with Think Media. So at first it was like I was already good at filming and editing. And then I learned the YouTube game. And then I started making like money on my own doing with affiliate income. And I helped my brother after the first growth video live. My mind's blown. I'm like, dude, here's what you need to do. Like I figured out how to rank YouTube videos. Figure out how to rank YouTube videos. So I'm like, let's do a little bit of research. And he was doing like youth ministry stuff. And so I was like, we found like a keyword. I'm like, dude, there's a good amount of search volume, no competition. Make this video. It was like 5 youth group games or something. Mm-hmm. Literally got like 1 million views, and he's got, you know, just a few thousand subscribers. And so, you know, my mind is being blown and all this. And then I started doing it for myself, and I'm making like a couple $1,000s in affiliates. And I'm like, and I'm just learning more and more. Mm. And so that's one of the coolest things about working here is like, it changes over time because it is a growing company, but like, it's also like slow and steady. Yep. Whereas like some people, you know, like I said, don't make it over time, where I think, Sean is just committed to building a company that last year built to last was our, you know, theme. And so it's true though. It's like, we're hiring people and just trying to figure it out as we go. But YouTube is the move. I really like, I'm all behind YouTube. Like obviously my entire career is YouTube. Right. And like most of my skill sets are in YouTube, but like I feel so good about it. I think it's the best social media platform. I think every entrepreneur who's not on YouTube, I just think like, dude, you're missing out like crazy. You're missing out like crazy.
Man, like every time I get that question, because, you know, obviously at Wealthy, we do all of the workshops, the big events. And that's always one of the questions when I do Q&A is, what platform do you recommend me getting on first? Mm-hmm. And I tell I always say YouTube. I'm like, it's still the most powerful tool to me. Right? It's a search engine next to Google, right? Like it's right beneath Google as far as how it, you know, is used. But I was like, if you can master YouTube, these other ones will be so much easier for you. And I was like, in fact, you're going to realize that you can optimize everything else by using your YouTube videos. And I mean, and it's what we do for Ryan, right? Like, you know, our target audience are entrepreneurs, business owners, individuals that are in the space. When it comes to Ryan, right? Like, and this is how I always answer the question of what platform should I start off first on? I always tell people YouTube. A lot of people, you know, there's always some resistance, right? Because YouTube for people means a lot more work than they really want to do. But I tell them that they can optimize everything else by making a YouTube video. All we do for Ryan is film his podcast, maybe get some organic stuff of him when he's communicating with people or sitting at his desk coaching. But most of it is a podcast clip that is cut up and then repurposed, right? And that goes out, you know, we release probably 50 a day on different platforms, right, across all of them. And so it's like the reach is there just from one video, right? And so I tell people still, you know, speak a little bit to like why you think YouTube will never go away. Because we see platforms come and go all the time. Like there's been ups and downs on different platforms, right? Like I remember before TikTok, there was a Vine. I remember, you know, before all these, MySpace was crushing as far as that. And then SoundCloud kind of came in and took a little bit. So like, tell me why you think YouTube will exist, you know, in the long run. Right.
I mean, just looking at to this point, rather than trying to predict the future, I think it's like, you know, you do see these social media apps kind of come and go. And like YouTube has like stood the test of time and has been around and continues to grow. So I was just looking at this and I can't remember the exact number of like, you know, monthly active users, but like by 2026, it's projected to hit 1 billion. And I'm like, it's basically, you know, it's continuing to grow. And I think the reason for it is they pay creators, you know, well. So and this is crazy just in itself. If you're an entrepreneur and you can get paid to advertise and build your brand, why would you not do it? Like, and so it's such like, once you get it working for you, you basically build another income stream in business that promotes your business, which I just think, you know, it's so cool. And that's why I love social media. But another thing too is like, YouTube's different. Yes, you have the search engine, which is very unique and a lot of people use that. But like also just as a video platform, YouTube is unlike the other social media platforms because you'll have videos. Like I literally on my basketball channel am having a video that was posted. This one was 60 days ago and it tanked. No views. And in the past like 4 days, it went from like literally 2,000 views to 44,000 views. Wow. And it's still going up, paying me now. I'm making money now on that video. And so, and like Omar was just telling me, dude, one of his videos on Think Media, he was like 264 days later, like that's how, he's like, it literally just like, boop, just took off. So I'm like, what I love about YouTube is your videos don't die right away. They still like, even like the fact that you can change the packaging of a title and a thumbnail later and have it work better. Like we've done that, dude, and seen videos take off. So like there's so many things that if you're committed to being great at video and you're committed to like really doing YouTube, like it just works, you know, all in your favor. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, that I love YouTube for, those are, you know, a lot of the main reasons, but also long form content too, building trust and like this conversation, dude. I'm sure the people that listen to this, like they love you. They're like, I'll do whatever Justin says, you know, like.
It's what you said a couple things that I want to touch on, but what you said about it lasting, right, and that video living on, it's real estate. Yes, it's literally digital real estate. Right, where at any moment you can get paid from that video we do it all the time. Like Ryan's stuff is so specific to a certain audience that I don't really expect for it to take off right away. Right, like, that's not how we go into the video. But I do know that 6 months from now, that video is going to be doing really well, and it happens over and over again. And so one thing that we even like, I've been with him for 3 years now, and one thing we had to realize together is because early on we were like, what our views? What's with our views? What's with our views? And it was so vain because once we switched over and decided to go all in on podcasting and we watched those watch hours increase crazy and we watched the impact that it was having on the audience when we got them in the room with us, because I would do it. I would go to the workshop, and the first thing we would ask is, how many people are here because they saw a reel or something on Instagram? You know, good portion saw it. How many people are here because they watched the podcast? Same type of numbers. And I was like, wow, these people are spending hours with his content.
Yeah.
Right. There's no way that they don't trust him. There's no way that there's not power in that. And so knowing that the videos are going to go off later, like I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to wait on that, because it's also a thing where those topics, you're creating topic, or you're speaking on topics that will continue to be relevant. Right? I get to sit down with you today. Some of the same conversations that we having today are going to be relevant 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, because YouTube's not going away. All right. And so being able to teach on it, being able to talk about it, you know, it's one of those things that really holds power to what it is we're trying to do.
Well, dude, I have a video on Think Media. It's 3 years old and it's making $1,000 a month. It's 3 years old. I'm actually like literally know nothing about real estate, but I'm like, what would it take to make $1,000 a month, you know, on a rental property or something? I'm like, so, you know, and it just compounds, you know, video after video, and some do well, some don't, some take time, some just pop off right away. But that compound effect, what I love about YouTube too, which is different, is it's such a snowball effect. You're going to notice, like, I mean, you already see this, but like your podcast, when it really starts to when YouTube finds the right audience, they're going to start binging your episodes and then getting recommended more. And you literally see these snowball effects of growth for creators. And because YouTube values just like quality content. So if you're willing to put out quality content that helps viewers and they are interested in what you're talking about, you can do YouTube.
Let's talk about that a little bit too. Because one of the things, you know, we had to learn with our YouTube, especially Ryan Pineda's YouTube, is that we really want to get into that recommended.
Okay.
Right. And
how come though? Just for exposure?
It's not even to me, it's like I want the platform to work for me. I don't want to always be working for the platform. So it's like, oh, I gotta always be really focused on my thumbnails, my titles, I gotta lock in and try to make those perfect, rather than making sure that they're actually pushing the content to the people that we need to. Because again, in business, we're not as focused on the masses seeing it, right? Sure, we want you know, more eyeballs, the better, but that's not our main focus. Our main focus is making sure the right people are seeing it. And so knowing that the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, I hate using that word, but knowing that the platform is pushing it to the people that would be the ones considered to want to see it means more to us than, you know, anything else. And so again, if we average, you know, 200,000 to 300,000 watch hours in a month, I want a good portion of that to be people that we can potentially convert quickly. So tell me, how important is it to focus on certain analytics and certain things when you are reviewing what you're doing on your YouTube page?
Well, let me first explain how YouTube works, because I feel like understanding for people like how the algorithm works, how the platform works, then you can reverse engineer on like how do you want to utilize that.
Right.
So no matter what, if you start posting YouTube videos, even if you have 0 subscribers, YouTube's gonna put you in the algorithm and push you out to somebody. Now you still might get 0 views because no one clicked on your video, but people saw it. So YouTube calls that an impression. So you're going to get an impression, and let's say you make a video on real estate, right? It based on the metadata and the tags and description and the title saying real estate, YouTube knows that, you know, the video is about real estate. And I mean, it's way more in depth than that. They literally scan every frame and can tell you that you're wearing a White Sox logo and like all that. Like, it's kind of crazy. And faces too, like, right? So if someone else posts a clip of like Ryan, it would know that's Ryan. Like it's pretty, you know, in depth, but they know who to, you know, push it out to. So that's one of the things of like making the right types of content to get in front of the right people. But then it's, how do you get them to actually click? How do you get them to click on your video? And once you get people to click and watch, that's how it pushes out to more and more people. So how do you get people to click on a video? I call it packaging, and it's topic, thumbnail, and title. And so it's got to be the right topic that people are interested in, because you might have the best thumbnail you've ever made and the best title that you guys have ever thought of, but no one's interested in what you're talking about.
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant. So there's the topic piece. And then sometimes you'll see, I have a terrible thumbnail, I have a terrible title, but this video took off. Well, that's because it had a great topic and people are interested. Like, you know, there's gonna be certain things that like this podcast, for example, might be titled something along of like how to grow a YouTube channel, how to get views, how to make money on YouTube.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like more interesting topics than if we were to talk about something or frame it, package this video, you know, in something that like they're not interested, they're just not going to watch. So I think creators can learn as they post. They'll start to see like the data doesn't lie.
Right.
So people are watching this type of content because they're interested in this. And so the more you can dive into that and lean into that and look at that. But I think you're asking about what numbers to look at. One of the things we really like to do to make the algorithm work for us, right, is click-through rate is a big one. And so how many, when YouTube pushes it out, how many people click on that video?
All right.
So if it depends too, like our search videos have crazy high, like 20-30% click-through rate, which is very high on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because you type in like best camera for YouTube, we're at the top.
Right.
And so there's already, so I think click-through rate, people underestimate, they just think it's title and thumbnail, and there's way more to it than that. There's brand, like literally, I watch Mr. Beast videos, but like there's way more bigger Mr. Beast fans than me. I'm watching his video because it's Mr. Beast. I literally don't care what he posts. Right. I just want to watch it because I'm interested.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
And that increases click-through rate by building your brand up. So by constantly giving quality content, people want to watch every single video. And if you can get to that point eventually, like, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Another part too is like, how good was your last video? If someone watches this podcast and they feel like we wasted their time, and then YouTube recommends another video and like, nah, I'm not gonna
click on it. Yeah.
They're just not gonna click on it. So that's another part of like click-through rate. And of course, like it's marketing. So title and thumbnail do matter. The topic, of course it matters. But at the end of the day, it kind of is marketing, and it's thinking about how can I make someone interested, grab their attention, and then add some sort of curiosity element that really, or, an answer to a question or solve a problem that only this video can answer.
Yeah. And a lot of that too, even with the titles, like you're using like keywords to kind of get people captured, right? Like I noticed for a while it was the versus something, right? Like this versus this, especially when you're reviewing tech, right? And then it was put the year on there. And then it was using words like insane and all these different things that people were testing out because a lot of them were watching what Mr. Beast was doing.
Sure.
Right. But then I was realizing too, like at the end of the day, the video's good or it's not. Right. Like at the very end of the day. And it's like you just, and I'm just affirming what you said. Like, if I click through one and you wasted my time and then I get fed it again, but I don't, it's reading that, right? Like it's paying close attention to that. So I always encourage my students, like if you're early in the game, it's going to suck, right? It's going to be your worst videos you ever made if you're just starting. It's fine. Yeah. But try to make the next one better and continue to get better every single video. And you'll start to see that the platform reads that as well, right? Like even down to like quality, right? Like sometimes, these are some of our worst videos that we felt like we filmed terribly and edited, and the audio's bad, everything's bad about it, did well. And then the video that we took our time on, got the slowest of motion possible on the water that was in the fountain, like all that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, this is a really good video as far as cinematic and performance. But they don't care at all about this because they're coming for his information. And so it's like kind of learning all those pieces. Again, it's the packaging. Like, how are you putting this together? And then what is within it? What substance are you putting within it? And so that's what I've learned. Like,
I got to ask you about that because you like just gave the secret to YouTube and you like glossed over it almost. But like what you're saying is, and a lot of videographers are like, dude, this is such a good video. Yeah. To them, it's such a good video. We got the slow-mo shot. We got the slider coming in, like it looks sick. But what you said are like, actually, they just want the information. And so like, pause for a second and think about what do people actually want from you? Because quality is subjective. Right. So is your channel to teach something? So, because when you talk about they need to make better videos each time, I'd love to talk about like how, because people are going to be like, okay, because I think the first thing is understanding like what do they even want from your video? Because you might not need you could go viral on your phone.
Yeah.
You know, like,
sure.
So how do you get better?
Yeah. Yeah. To me, getting better at every video means that the individual, whoever your target audience is, right? So that's first. You got to figure out who you're targeting.
Audience, yeah.
But whoever that individual is going to be left with more to apply. That's what, in my industry, that's what getting better means.
Yeah.
Right. So for instance, this conversation that we're having, if I walked you in here and I was like, hey, man, this is the Wealthy Creator Podcast. We just talk about content. Tell me what you're doing to make content. Yeah. All right, everybody, thank you for being here. Like if I gave it like raw, like surface level information, right? Like what we just gave about, you know, the algorithm and things that we do to figure it out, that's going to help a lot of people. So if you came back tomorrow and we sat down and talked about it again, I'm going to have my cameras ready. All right, Nolan, tell me, which one do you prefer? Right? One, I know that's what your audience wants to know from you. But two, these are creators too, and they want to know, all right, what should I buy first? What should I get? Right? So I'm just getting better. I'm making a better video every single time by continuing to feed them information that I know will help. It didn't make sense for me to start with tech, right? Because I can go tell them to buy something, they will have no idea what to do with it. Right? Right? They don't know. Then they're calling me trying to get me to help them set it up. Right. Instead, let's talk about what we're going to do as a brand and as far as on these platforms so that when you get that piece of tech, you kind of got some idea of where to go next. Right. That's me getting better every time. And I think every brand and every creator has to try to figure that part out as they're going along their journey. Right. I mean, I watched it, you know, firsthand with everybody at Think Media. Right. Like I saw it for myself before you all had the podcast. I was like, okay, they're getting ready to do the podcast. This is, you know, shout out to Heather, who was still, and I loved listening to Heather because she broke things down so simple for everyone. Yeah. All right. And again, she really had the tone of marketing more than most in that circle. And I was like, yeah, because really what you all are doing is marketing outside of the YouTube education and the tech reviews. It's really marketing on what you do, especially when it comes to the channel. And so I was like, there's a ton of value in that. Yeah. Right. And so whether you were on the episode, Omar's on the episode, Sean's on the episode, everybody made something better each time something came out. And that's what kept me clicking on it. Right. Like that's what keeping on. So it just goes back to what we're saying, like about trying to get better every single time. It doesn't necessarily mean I need to buy a better lens to make it sharper. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm more, you know, or more or less referring to the actual content, information.
The information. Yeah. I totally agree. Like last night I screenshotted it because I thought it was funny. And it's again why I love YouTube. I got recommended a 10-year-old video on my homepage. Like last night I'm like, you know, just winding down, you're ready for bed. It's like 10:30. 10-year-old video of, actually, let me just tell you the title of it. The thumbnail is a screenshot from the video, like literally just like custom thumbnail, you know, that just like randomly
whatever
chose
YouTube chose.
It was whatever YouTube chose. And it was on a webcam. And it...
And 10 years old.
And 10 years old. And it was called An Old Man's Advice. 2.2 million views.
I get those all the time. I get
An
just
old
random
man's
stuff
advice.
like that. Yeah.
And it's a almost 6 minute long video. It's got 22 million views. I'm like, I click on it. There's no editing. And but you want to hear what this guy has to say. And so, you know, people think, you know, how can I get people to watch longer? Of course, that matters to YouTube. Right. But at the end of the day, all YouTube is trying to do is put videos in front of you that you're interested in and that are actually good videos. Right. But then it's like, okay, what's a good video? Yeah. Well, a good video, typically, you know, there's like all sorts of signs from it, but like you could get in, you know, if someone likes that video, if they watch another video or they watch all of the video or they watch a lot of the video, like, those are all good signs and things to strive for to make your content better. Yeah. But it's like, it doesn't have to be editing. It doesn't have to be that. It's like, how can I get to the point faster, right? To not waste people's time. So they're not, when people skip through your video, that hurts the YouTube algorithm. Oh yeah. Because your average view duration, the amount of time they're watching your video is cut back now. Yeah. And it's like, you got to take those parts out, look at the analytics, look at your retention graph and try and study that. And that's how you can level up is by, you know, looking at that kind of stuff. But I just thought that was so funny. And I'm like, it's a weird, YouTube is a weird space.
And I think that's why people should be, if they're just starting, they should be really encouraged. Yes. Because if that guy that you just showed me can make a video, get 22 million views, anybody can do it. You know, it really is just having, you know, the right messaging and making sure that you're, like I always say, if you're serving someone, it's going to work, right? Figuring out how to solve someone's problem and serve them without the intent of receiving anything, right? Like I don't do this to receive anything, right? It's not what I'm going into it for, because otherwise you'll never feel like you're getting what you deserve, right? For me, it's more about, all right, I'm going into this to see how many people I can have impact on and just help, all right? And how much that this information, like when I reached out to you, I was like, hey man, hey Omar, see if he'd be willing to, bro. I saw you all were here. I'm like, let me just see if he'd be willing to, because I understand the knowledge that you gained in the previous years, how well it would help my community and the creators in our community, right? That will always kind of carry over, right? Like, this video may get 100 views and not go anywhere at the launch of this thing, right? But I'm trusting that a year from now, I'm going to see major impact from that, all right? And so it really is just a steadfast journey. And I always say, YouTube's a slow burn. It just is what it is. Not everybody gets to release something and see instant success. It happens, but just not common. And so, you know, I want the communities to understand, like, as you're starting, focus on who you're helping. Don't focus on what you're getting in return. Forget looking at the views, right? Like, focus on who you're helping. There was an individual, I was on a call the other day, and he's like, I've been doing YouTube for a year now, and I can't seem to just break that. I can't break the code. Like, I've been doing it. I've been doing what they mentioned Think Media. He's like, I've been doing everything they say. He turned his camera. He had all this equipment over there. He's like, I bought everything that they said. I said, yeah, they got you. I go, but I understand, like, your frustration, right? Like, I totally get it, because anybody in your shoes would be frustrated. I go, but now you have some actual, like, one-on-one coaching that will help you tweak some things that I can assure you, if done correctly and actually applied, it will help. Sometimes you just need a better explanation for your individual situation. And so he was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I was like, give me 6 months. Let's just see where it goes. But the fun part of that is, like, yeah, I know what you've been hearing because I listen to it too. All right. I got a closet of equipment too from Think Media affiliates that I didn't bought, right? Just because you're trying to figure it out. But then when you actually dial in and sit with somebody that can help you and understand it a little better, then it makes more sense. And the brands will grow. So it's really cool.
With that too, though, I think coaching, coaching is really underrated. And also for the accountability aspect of, like, having someone, I'm going to be with you in 6 months. Like, let's do this, right? I think that's super powerful. And, I joined, just like, we call it, like, I don't know, mastermind, but every single week, me and 2 other YouTube creators, we just, started meeting every single week, talking about YouTube. And we all started channels last year. And we all, like, went in the first year, all 3 of us started a brand new channel and all went over 40,000 subscribers. Wow. Without shorts too. Like, cause shorts, people.
That's just long form.
Just long form.
Wow.
And so it's like, but like being around the right people, and so yes, there's free content, but like if you can talk about your specific problems and your stuff and be held accountable too, that was a big thing for me. It's a cheat code.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I mean, you look at anybody doing it at a high level, that's what they do. Yeah. They get help. Right? No, I don't know anybody that does it on their own at a high level. They all seek some type of guidance or tips from someone. And, and it's just super useful, right? But you mentioned starting a channel. Yeah. And I want to really get into this. This is going to be, for those that are still here, still watching, still listening, this is a really big part of this episode, because I think for a lot of people, they're unaware of what you're doing with the channel you started last year. Tell us more about this channel that you started, and then I'll dig deeper in the process.
Well, I actually started 2 YouTube channels last year. Okay. And both of them I monetized within 28 days. Okay. So if you're watching this and you're like, can I start in 2024 a YouTube channel? Yes, you can. And a matter of fact, I just want to say this. From what I've seen and all my friends starting YouTube channels, I think the algorithm, for some reason, maybe it's trying to compete with the virality of TikTok. They're pushing new channels. Like if you create a channel, start posting content, they're actually pushing a little bit. Now you have to make good content, because like in like 10 videos, if you're not getting views, it's like you need to do something better. Yeah. It's not like gonna save you, like that's the hack, but it's a great time to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, last year, it's called Faceless YouTube channels. And I started a NBA basketball channel, and basically in 1 year went to 40,000 subscribers, $56,000 in AdSense, landed a $15,000 brand deal on a faceless channel.
Faceless channel.
And so what I love too, just about YouTube, and then I'd love to answer any questions about it, but if I lost everything today and I didn't have my job and I had to go home and feed my family, I know based on the skill sets that I have that I could start a YouTube channel and make $100,000 a year.
Right. Right.
And so it's like people are going to maybe listen to this story of, because by the way, I did this on this side. I work full time in Think Media. So I did this on the side.
Yeah, you were still making content yourself, right?
And I'll talk about like how to hire people and where to hire them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And how much it costs. But what I'll say is I've been doing YouTube for, I don't know, a long time, 6 years or whatever. So it's like, don't expect me, like get in the game now, start developing those skills of learning about titles and thumbnails and editing. And you'll just get better and better over time. And then like, you'll be able to, sky's the limit on what you want to create. But yeah, it was a fun experiment too, because it was entertainment channel, right? Basketball, kind of basketball stories or like top plays type of a thing. And it's so different than kind of even the content we're making here, or maybe even the audience is listening. Like if you're making educational type of content and you're talking about like how to grow a business or real estate, or, you're a lawyer, like it's very different. There's still things to learn, but it's also just such a different world. So it's fun to learn that side.
Oh, for sure. For sure, yeah. And I mean, okay, so faceless, right? Which essentially is just, we never see who's behind the content. Tell me about the setup of that, right? I want to know, where do I start? Like if I wanted to start a faceless channel right now, where do I start? Outside of creating a channel, of course, but is the first thing I need to do is figure out a niche? Yeah,
for sure. And that's going to be a big part of your success. And it's very similar to business. Like if you choose the wrong business or the wrong market, like there's certain caps to markets.
Okay.
So you want to think about, is it a growing audience, or do people watch this content? So like NBA and also passion. So like I just like playing basketball. I don't really watch a ton of the NBA, but like, here and there. And so, but I know the lingo. So if I get like a script, in the beginning stage, like if I pay for a script and like the wording was like so terrible, like the way they were, but then I just improv'd it and recorded the voiceover. So it worked out, but you got to know it a little bit.
Yeah. So you mentioned it. You actually record the voiceover.
Yes, and that's changed. I've been taking a little bit of a break, and it's going to be changing now.
Okay.
And we're actually going to have a content creator on the channel who is going to show his face.
Okay.
And so maybe in a year we'll talk and see what happens. But
so it's going from faceless to not being faceless anymore.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I really like faceless channels for a few reasons, because that would be the first thing. Is like decide if you want to do faceless or not.
Right.
The reason that I wanted to do faceless was I thought I wanted to build some sort of like passive income where I could remove myself from the business and go on vacation with my family.
Yeah.
And having a faceless channel, it's a little bit easier to do that. If I was, on camera, my time, like it's an easier transition from my voiceover to someone else's voiceover to do that. And so for the second channel, that's what's going to happen. It's going to go from my voice, and it's still going to be faceless, to someone else's voice. I don't think people are going to care as much.
So when it comes to now you got your niche, right? Let's just say NBA. Let's just stay on NBA. Are you picking the topics? Do you have a team pick topics? How does that work?
Yeah, so I think one of the most, besides having just a good enough video that will do well and people will watch, besides that, I think one of the most important aspects of the success of the channel is figuring out what video to make and how to package it with the thumbnail and title.
Okay.
So that's where I put most of my energy. I hired a graphic designer, but like I would kind of do some sketch thumbnail designs and be like, what if we did like, we're talking about new stadiums coming to the NBA. I was like, what if we had, LeBron James in like a Vegas jersey, and then we made one concept like that, standing next to like a Vegas, like, we made up some, and then like, well, let's do Kevin Durant in a Sonics jersey. And like, we tried different things. And so I think like focusing for me, I was focusing on the idea, figuring out what I think could go viral.
Yeah.
And then kind of working through to build that thumbnail with a designer. And I started off, dude, $5 thumbnails on Fiverr.
Right.
First video, 150,000 views.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So you found a designer on Fiverr. Do you also get the editor from there, or are you doing the editing?
So I did the editing in the beginning. Okay. In the beginning, because I just am an editor, and that's going to be more expensive than a thumbnail designer. So I was like, let me save a little bit of money in the beginning and just edit these myself. Mm-hmm. And eventually, though, I ended up getting an editor. It was kind of crazy. So first video, right, goes like 150,000 views. Second video, 1 million views. Mm-hmm. Third video, 250,000 views. My fourth and fifth videos don't get a lot of views, 2,000 views. I'm like, what's going on, dude? I want to quit. I want to quit.
It's not working.
YouTube showed me all the love, and now they're shadow banning me. So they just people weren't interested in the topic. Now I know, I'm like, oh yeah, they don't care about that. So anyways, by the way, I'm not posting weekly because I just don't have the time for it.
That's what I was going to ask you next. How often do you release?
I mean, ideally weekly. Yeah. But if you have quality content, you could get away with like once a month if it's like a fire, but ideally weekly, bi-weekly, just whatever you can do to be consistent with quality stuff. So most people who are starting, it's like, just get in the habit of doing it weekly so you get better.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you where yes. So we talked about an editor, talked about a graphic designer, talked about finding
Don't get an editor on Fiverr.
Okay.
Get an editor.
Tell me why.
I just haven't had good luck on Fiverr.
I feel you.
Or Upwork.
I agree.
ytjobs.co.
Okay.
Not sponsored.
All right, all right. I was going to say, okay, he's giving it up now.
I'm a bit. I'll give away the secrets. Yeah. ytjobs.co has, not everyone on there. Like some of them are like lying about the work they've done. Yeah. But
I've seen some of my edits on there from other people's.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times. They've like reached out and have sent me their portfolio, and it was like, you didn't do this. I did this.
Yeah. So here's the ultimate hack to hire your YouTube team in the beginning. Go to YT Jobs to get quality leads. Uh-huh. It's like, $150 or something to put out, your ad, and people are going to start applying for this position. Then you message them. You have to message them, and you want to give them I gave them the first 30 seconds of a voiceover for a video. Let them do a free piece of work first, and then instantly you're going to know who's lying and who's not, and you're going to see who's able to turn in work quick enough and who's not. Right. But just I got 100 applicants, and then I found 10 amazing editors, and then I found 5 people I wanted to work with. And now I don't need to do now I have a portfolio of people I can work with that I don't even need to do another, for my next channel, another posting, because I already have some editors. Yeah. So that's the process for hiring an editor. If you want to really, for $100, you can get a very good editor. Yeah. And maybe even cheaper. And but go on Fiverr and maybe you can get lucky and find someone cheaper. But I mean, a lot of people in the faceless channel space are like, you can make a video for $70, but it's not going to be good.
Right. And I mean, truthfully, that investment is nothing, because month 2, you've made back everything that you monetized in 28 days. You made that money back month 2 for sure.
Well, you want to hear something crazy?
Go for it.
After my 2 videos almost flopped and I wanted to give up on the channel, I posted my next video, and within the month it got 7 million views. I made $14,000.
Jeez.
So I follow up with a very similar video
from what you did that was working.
Yeah, I'm like, let me just make part 2.
Okay, yeah.
3 million views that month. I made $20,000.
See, just like
that's when I hired my editor. That's when I hired a scriptwriter, hired a full team. Yeah, and then from that point, I just focused on ideas, overseeing the edit, and letting it run.
Yeah, because that's where my mind works. I'm like, okay, today, Justin, who has hardly any extra time to do stuff, right? Because I always look for opportunities, like you said, to find some passive income somewhere. And I know it's going to be in our space because it's what it's what you're good at.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're passionate about it too. You don't want to find money from where you're not passionate about it. It won't last.
Right.
So I was like, all right, for my faceless channel, I need a graphic designer. I don't
want to say you need it, but it does. Yes.
This is why it helps
because
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yes.
I just want to find somebody to replace me.
Then you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this is just me. This is just
for you.
Justin.
Yes. Okay, so you need a graphic designer, an editor, probably a script writer,
a script writer, possibly a voice actor.
Right.
And then,
if you don't want to do it, then you would hire. Yep.
Right. And then the last piece would be like a social media manager, someone that's going to post, comment, and do all the other things that maybe go over, maybe also give me topics that I could approve that I believe would work. Right. That's where my mind works. And I'm thinking to myself, an editor, like you said, $100 can get you a really
good editor. Really good editor for him.
Graphic designer, I can pay per thumbnail maybe, and that won't be much, $15 or so.
$15 you can find a good thumbnail designer.
Social media manager may be a little more expensive. It depends. I usually try to find like a teenager that just has the time and is on their phone all day
Wants
anyway.
to learn and
try to learn. So like that's the way my mind is working towards this, but I'm thinking for the average entrepreneur, they're going to be kind of thinking the same way because they don't want to spend the time that it takes to do it. Like obviously this is your full time, but like for them, like I don't expect the individual like Ryan to be overseeing and being active at all in this process. He's like, here's the money. Go find the people and let's just make it happen. Yep. Right. And then that channel can exist on its own and bring in revenue on its own. So yeah, I think this is a really what do you see for the future of it? Do you think it's going to be way more people getting involved in it? Because I think now it's just people haven't heard about it yet.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like becoming more and more people are more aware of it. And Sean and I actually started a Faceless channel like 4 years ago.
Really?
And
what niche?
Gaming.
Okay.
Roblox.
No way.
Now it's kind of a sketchy story because we worked with someone and we didn't know much about the Faceless. So we're like, dude, we'll just do whatever you say. And he's like, Roblox. And then, and was like, make these videos. And, but anyways, so like that kind of like died off and who knows, maybe we should do something with it one day, bring it back. But
I can tell you one person, my son, Noah, will definitely be, if he hasn't already seen what you all put out, because he's so into Roblox, dude. Like, I'm like, how do you just like, what is it? It reminds me of like The Sims. Like when we were younger, I'm like, this feels like you're playing The Sims, but bigger. Yeah. And he just loves it. So I'm like, it's so funny how there's a market for everything.
Exactly.
You just got to get good at capturing the attention of the people, huh?
Yes. Yeah. And I forgot your question because I went down the Roblox hole, but
I guess the initial question was just about whether, like, what do you see for the future of Faceless? Like, are you seeing that you think more people are going to get into it? Do you think that's going to become kind of like a side hustle for a lot of creators that actually have channels and are focused on their actual? I could see Ryan doing it. I could definitely see him having some type of Faceless channel.
If I were Ryan and I did a Faceless channel, it would be something related to what he's doing so he could sell his product. So if you're an entrepreneur and like, because you can get pretty, you just relying on AdSense and then brand deals and all that kind of stuff. Like if you have something to sell, then you can monetize it way quicker. And so, but then again, it's like maybe you should just have a face on camera. But I still think there's there's probably, I think Ryan could probably start some Faceless channel shows and talk about like, business and who knows what, right? And so that's definitely possible. But I think like, there's an opportunity, and you were talking about for editors and stuff. If you're a YouTube editor, like this is a huge opportunity for you because I think it's really hard for people to learn how to make a good YouTube video, but YouTube editors, they already know how to do that. So all you have to learn now is to do the packaging. How can I find the right idea and then title, thumbnail? So our editor, one of our podcast editors, Steph, I told him one day, I was like, this was like a couple months ago. I said, Steph, I was like, you need to start a Faceless channel just because you're an editor, you would crush it. He did in the poker niche and his channel's blowing up.
Crazy. Like
each video is getting, I don't know, 50, 60, 70,000 views. Some of them hundreds of thousands of views. And it's because so I think more people like that, it's like, why not make one? And then now he's going to, hire a team to help with editing or whatnot. So, but if you're just, it's not for everybody. It just depends on your goals.
Yeah.
But it's a super interesting thing that I'm fascinated by. And I like kind of the freedom aspect of you know, removing myself from it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can do it with a face type of personality channel. And I think Sean has such an interesting case study and with Think Media.
Yeah.
It's like when Omar was on the channel, they were all like, what is everybody going to say in the comments? Like, and all this stuff. And then when I was on the channel, it's like, what's going on here? But, you know, it just like people adapted and they're like, this is Think Media. It's a crew now. It's not just Sean. It's a collective. And so, you can make that transition too, but I think it's just easier to remove yourself when it is faceless.
Yeah. And I think you all put out higher quality content because it was a team effort. Like there's more brain power, but also there's no stress on you to release 4 videos a week now, right?
Yeah.
Because every day for a while there, you all were putting out a lot of content and it was coming back to back. It was someone different, but it was coming back to back and it was.
We did 5 a week, long form at one point, and this like last year we did 3 and we got more views, which was a big win for us as a team. Yeah. But we'll get back to 5 a week and there might be a day where it's 7 a week and there's different creators, different shows and we'll see, you know, figure out what's next, the next evolution of it. But
what's your thought on quantity like that? Because we release 6 a week right now for Ryan. 3 of them are like new episodes, and then there's either a mashup or a clip to come out, or some type of like education piece where either he's teaching or he's on stage, like somewhere of that sort. So we usually come up with like about 5 to 6 a week on a normal week. What are your thoughts on quantity?
Yeah.
Is that something that everyone should be aiming towards?
Yes. So if you're just getting started, quantity is going to get you to the level of quality, right? Because you learn as you put in that effort. And then for the people who are already good, that it just scales up. So Alex Hormozi at Growth Video Live, he one of the things he said that I loved was he goes, a lot of people are doing the right thing, just not enough of it. Right. So he goes, when I 10x'd my content, I 10x'd my income. Yeah. I was like, dang. And it makes sense. Yeah. So I think and there's certain YouTube channels where it works. So like trailers, like movie trailers, right? Movie trailer channels have like millions of subscribers and they're posting like not once a day, but like 5, 10, 15 times a day. Yeah. Now, not everyone wants to subscribe to those and whatever, but like there's like certain, I think the biggest YouTube channel ever, T-Series, they are like a media company and I think they just pump out like, I don't even know how many videos a day, but I know it's like an absurd amount. Yeah. So there's something to that, right? It's like you get more at bats. And so I think once you can scale the quality and the quantity, it makes sense. You just have to figure out when is it too much for the audience that like they actually are unsubscribing because, you know, it's too much. Yeah. So that's the only thing. But I think that's a huge way to just keep growing.
Yeah, I tell you, it's kind of a way to cheat it early, right? Because not only are you giving yourself more opportunity, like you're playing a percentage at that point. Yeah. James Harden scored a lot because he shot a lot. Yeah. Right. But you also are getting your reps in, right? And you know you're going to get better with the more reps you do, right? As you continue on. And so I think like that's why I always kind of tell people like, yeah, like we're not backing off, right? Like. And for Ryan specifically, like, I don't mind those unsubscribe, like people that unsubscribe because you probably weren't going to support it anyway to the business anyway. So like, we'll go after more people, but we're not going to worry about those few that are falling off. So it's like, yeah, try to figure out how to maximize what you're doing like on the day to day to make more content, right? Don't change your day around to try to make more. Just use whatever it is that you're doing anyway. I always hear people say like, stop making content and just be content, right? Like. Brad Lee told us that one time at the airport. He was like, I just look at my guy and like when I'm getting ready to talk, make sure that camera's on, right? Because whatever I'm saying to an individual is content, right?
I also think too, like we've seen a rise in this, at least I have in the past year, but it's been an old thing, but podcast clips. So like a lot of people are using a second channel and it's just quantity. Yeah. And Ryan's the type of guy where you could do a clips channel. And it's like the people subscribing to that just want to see clips from him. And I'm talking long form clips. Obviously, you can dump a ton of shorts on there too. But and then on that podcast clips channel or, you know, Ryan Pineda clips, like you could post 3 times a day on that channel and people would probably love it because they just want to see him. They want to see him talk about fill in the blank. And then you just put everything on there. And then every one of those videos is searchable. every one of those videos could find the right audience. And that's a interesting,
and we
concept.
So when we decided to go all in on podcasting, we moved from his podcast channel to his main channel. So that channel over there, it made, $40,000 a year. We haven't posted on it since this time last year.
Okay.
Right. And it's just sitting. We haven't posted.
Bring it back. Bring the clips.
But it goes back to our point about videos lasting long term. Because there's some that's still seeing increases. And every so often I'll look at the AdSense because we do record AdSense week to week. We record all our statistics week to week. And it's like every so often this week I have a huge percentage increase. And I'm like, what happened? I go look at it and it's a video from last August that just takes off. Right. And it's like, so it goes back to that point. But yeah, like that would be like an ideal channel to put out them clips. I'm gonna get on that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Try to convince him to let me do it. He's funny because we didn't touch it because we didn't know how converting over to the main channel would work.
Sure.
Right. Obviously, we were going from more dynamic videos with home tours, Flip Nation videos where he's talking about other people's businesses or flips that he's done, all those kind of things. So we didn't know, like, those were dynamic videos and vlogs and things like that. I didn't know what it was going. We weren't sure what was going to happen when all of a sudden every video was just him sitting at his podcast set, right? But luckily it did better, right?
Yeah.
The channel grew, but at the same time I was like, all right, let's not touch this channel just yet until we know for sure we might be going back, right? But it's cool. That's a great idea. So I mean, we're talking about 5 or 6 videos a day for on creations that we do, but and I want to encourage people to get to that as fast as they can and whatever can fits their lifestyle. Tell me about how you handle like setbacks or struggles when it comes to maintaining that effort in the creation process.
Effort in which aspect?
So I know that there has to be, everybody has some type of like struggles in some area, right? Like maybe your content starts to plateau and you're not seeing the growth, or maybe, you're hitting that space where you're having trouble coming up with topics, right? Yeah. Like how do you usually find inspiration or deal with those struggles when they come and, you're experiencing them?
Well, I'll be real with you because this is something I need to get better at. And, I think when let's talk about the Faceless channel as a good example. Like when I have some major success and then I have, videos that tank. Yeah. It's like, I take it so personal. I'm like, I suck at YouTube. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, it's really just about like humans and viewers. And it's like, they just didn't want to watch this video. And I thought it was like, it was going to go viral and it didn't. And so it's like just being more humble of like, all right, let me try again. That's something I need to get better at. So, I'm glad you said that. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. And that's a moment for you, but to express that side of it, because most people that know you already and intake your content, they would not believe that was the case. Right? Because the personality that we get to see on camera and the amount of content that you put out, in most people's minds, it's like, hey, he's always on. It's always working. He just knows what to do, right? He knows how to get the views. He knows how to, right? So I'm glad you shared that because it's true. It's 1,000% true, right? Like there's a lot of insecurity when you're putting yourself out in front of the world, right? I don't care who you are, right? Somewhere there's an insecurity. I've had the pleasure of sitting in rooms with some people that I never imagined I'd have the opportunity to even shake their hand. And after listening to them, especially off camera, that's when you really find out. But after listening to some of their stories and hearing what they're saying, a lot of it is just insecurity, right? But there's insecure because of what they're trying to give to the masses. So it's awesome that you shared that. And so how do you feel like now that you're aware of it? Yeah. How you feel that you're doing with handling it and managing it? Well, it's funny because like my wife is the perfect companion for me, and we're different in areas that are strengths. And so I'll tell her like, I'm like, babe, my last 3 YouTube videos, like they just tanked. Like I suck. I want to quit. I'm gonna sell the channel. And like, dude, and she's like, are you crazy? Like it's 3 videos. She goes, you've posted like 1 a month the past, like it's been 3 months. You posted 3 videos. She's like, just start posting weekly and one of them is going to do well. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I should probably do that. She just looks at, things so differently than me, and obviously doesn't have the emotional tie of it. And so a big part too, like for me is this next year, you know, I have a new game plan just for the channel, but like I really want to not get so high on the highs. $20,000 a month, dude. And I'm going viral. At one point, I wake up in the morning. First thing I do, check YouTube Studio. In the past 60 minutes, 100,000 views.
Wow.
And I'm doing the math. I'm like, wait a minute, that's like $400. You know, I'm like, my mind's getting blown. I made like $3,000 a day. And I'm like, I keep checking YouTube Studio. And I was getting so stoked and high on, I'm like planning a vacation. You know, I'm like, I'm making $1 million. No, but
Right.
So because I got to that level though, and I wasn't like even keeled through it. When it dropped back down to what a lot of people would consider still amazing for a brand new channel, I was like disappointed. So for me, it's trying to be just a little more even with that and like just stay persistent, continuing to post and to stay consistent with it.
Yeah. So never too high, never too low.
And with Think Media though, I'm like, I get paid to make content. So it's easy for me to stay consistent.
Yeah.
So it's different when it's like when you're an entrepreneur and like you're not seeing checks right away and you're, you know, it's like you run into, is this worth my time?
Right. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about supporting yourself. Right. And that's why I said, rarely does it feel like a job. One, because I'm enjoying it. It's fun, right? Like, again, we get to play with tech. You get to make videos, right? Like, you get to travel. You get to see, right? Like, so it is a lot of fun. So it doesn't feel like a job until, like, it's crunch time and you got to get a bunch done, right? But it's fun to know that I'm not the only one experiencing that moment, right? Like, especially, I always get there at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I set goals at the beginning of the year. And let me look where I'm at. And wherever I'm like, you know, luckily so far we've done really well and I've achieved every goal. But then like this year, because of that, I felt like, am I setting goals high enough? Right? Or am I undercutting and cutting myself short from what could be possible? Right? Because obviously you set a goal, you're aiming for that. You're not aiming past that. Right? So I'm learning like set like massive goals that don't even feel achievable in the moment. So that you can, you know, if you get halfway to that, you're doing great. Yeah. So it's just it's great to hear it from you know, from someone else. It's awesome, man. And having a significant other, because I'm the same way, right? Like nobody can keep you more humble than she can. Yeah. Right. And I tell my wife this all the time. I'm like, no matter what I've been able to achieve in the 3 years, right? Because obviously where I'm coming from, most people, this is unexpected to people. Like it's unexpected to me, so I know it's really unexpected to them. Like this wasn't a plan. Like I wasn't in high school where I was like, I'm gonna be a video. Like that was never part of the plan. So, you know, she knows how to bring me back down. Like, all right, what's next? Because that wasn't nothing. All right. Like you're doing great. I'm extremely proud of you, but what's the next move? Right? And it's great having someone like that. So shout out to wifey for being there, you know, for you. Where I want to go? We talked content, right? And you kind of you kind of broke down some stuff for me. Yeah. I want to know too from you and your experiences, how important is storytelling for you? I even saw like, you know, doing some research like on your old bios, like storyteller was always in there somewhere. And I believe that in the next season of everything, next year, following year, communication is going to matter more than ever. I think that individuals that can't communicate well, there'll be a separation between the individuals that can communicate really well versus those that don't yet have that skill dialed in. And I think that's happening because of how long form is being rewarded. Meaning that if you don't have a podcast, you need one. Right? If you're not speaking on stages and presenting your products or your brand in ways that stretch further than just your platform, then you need to try to figure that out. And to do that, you just got to be good at communicating. All right? I don't think these brands and like the most powerful brands aren't going to just be able to exist on Instagram anymore, right? Like the 30-second to 60-second video isn't as valuable as it has been in previous years. Those are just my thoughts on the future. So agree. Tell me about storytelling for you. How important is it in your creation process?
Yeah, I think, you know, you probably saw that because I actually wanted to be a filmmaker my entire life. And I think I still want to make films one day. And so I studied storytelling. I got married at 21 years old. I moved to LA and started working in the film industry as a production assistant.
Wow.
And that was my dream, right? I'm going to work up the ranks. And then, I read the books on storytelling, studied it, made films. And so I think there is a huge crossover, I think, benefit of learning storytelling and, how stories are told and to captivate, even learning about hero's journey and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the stuff people think, like, we were talking about it last night, actually, with Sean. We were like, talking about Save the Cat. And I'm like, a lot of the stuff kind of doesn't like really correlate maybe to YouTube as much. But I think just like, if you can, because a lot of people listening to us, there's two sides of YouTube. There's like the entertainment and the educational. Mm-hmm. The entertainers on YouTube are storytellers. Mm-hmm. Like, they are for sure storytellers. They have stakes and payoffs. And these are storytelling techniques that they're using to get you to watch their video. Mm-hmm. And how can you introduce a payoff into your video? And I think the education side of YouTube can merge with this a little bit in ways. And but like, a payoff is such a great thing to add to a video, because and what that is how can you set something up in the beginning of the video that they're not going to get until the end? Yeah. And so you'll see people, implement these kind of techniques into their stories and how they're doing their YouTube videos. And it could be as simple as, like, I'll just use Mr. Beast as an example. It's like the payoff of who's going to be the last one in the circle or whatever, right? And it's like, you want to see who gets the prize and gets the money, and now there's stakes involved. And so there's all these storytelling things that they're implementing. That I'm a big fan of. Just like, the more, even if you are in the education space, like, you can't be super, I don't want to say boring, because
you can say it. It's what it is.
But here's the thing, like, I think about Alex. Okay. When he was in his closet webcam YouTube stuff. Yeah. And it's like, why did that work? Right. Well, he's a fantastic communicator. There's not story. Maybe, maybe there is storytelling aspects to what he's doing.
Yeah. And I think that's what people can seem to overlook, that part of the process, because it just feels like he's being himself. Mm-hmm. But he is telling stories. Like, he is giving you, I think reels are stories, right? That's 60 seconds. If I broke down line for line what you were doing when you, especially one that was really impactful and got a lot of views, and like, if you break that down to what it is, there's an intro, whether that's your hook or something, however you want to call it, whatever name you want to give it. There's a start of the video. Then there's a climax where I'm either giving you value or I'm giving you something exciting that's keeping your attention. And then I end it with either a call to action, right? Like, it's just all the same things when it comes to storytelling on what they teach you how to write. Right, because I took classes in college on script writing. Nice. Right, and then this was like, these are those electives, because I was playing ball, so these were those electives that just made sure that you were able to and eligible to play. Right, so I didn't take it serious at the time. Yeah. And that's even how I picked up my first camera. It was like pottery or photography, and I was like, I'm not doing pottery, so let's go take pictures of pretty girls on campus. Right, like, that's just how it go. Like, that's how it went. Right, so it was like, in those courses, though, I learned quickly, all this stuff applies to everything that we're doing. Just like a psychology applies to everything that we're doing. But I'm saying all that to say, even in just that short span, you're telling some type of story, even if you're just giving information. Yeah. Like, for the educators out there, you're still telling a story. It's just how you're presenting it. And so, Alex does it all the time. And now he's doing even more with him and Layla, and how they're kind of making their behind the scenes footage and things like that. It's all a big part of it, man. So I think everyone needs to learn how to tell their story effectively, right? And so that it is impactful to the viewer, especially their story. Have your story dialed. Whenever you're asked a question, have it dialed in so that you know exactly how to communicate it. And then I think in the long term, that tends to take place for everything that you do after. Right. So if I ask Nolan, hey, man, how important is it to build a personal brand, right, and have real strategy behind it? You'd have a dialed answer on why it's important to do it, right? And every time you tell it, you'll get better and better at telling it, until now your communication is just very clear and concise, and everybody's almost left wanting more from Nolan. I think that's going to be that separation.
I think, too, it's like, have you done the thing you're talking about as well?
That always applies.
That always applies. It's like, I'll listen to Alex film on a webcam in a dark, because I don't care, because I more so just care about what he has to say.
Yeah, the
and so
information.
the information.
It's all about the information.
But then it's how you communicate it, because you can still communicate it in a terrible way that's hard to follow and confusing.
Right.
And now you're losing people. So there still is a balance. It's like you can't just, oh, I've done this, people are going to listen to me. No, they're not just going to listen to you. You have to learn to be a good communicator, and storytell, and all of that plays a part in it for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know it's been a little bit, but I want to ask one more question.
Yeah.
And that question is, what do you see for the future of these platforms? What do you see changing? What do you see, benefiting people? What is working for the next year in 2024? What are you seeing, take place on these platforms, and what people are going to do on socials?
Should I say you start with YouTube or just in general?
Just start with YouTube. Yeah,
I can talk about YouTube. I have some like predictions, and I went to New York City at this event. They brought some creators out to talk about the future of YouTube.
Oh, sick.
And, they're really trying to implement AI. And to be honest, I think some of them are just gimmicky and like stupid.
Yeah.
But some of them are really cool. Okay. So one of the things that I thought was cool was, and I don't know when this is coming out yet, but they talked about how they're going to be doing dubbing on voice, right? Mm-hmm. And
I saw a video.
And there's going to be a point where, instead of having just English speaking creators to listen to, you now can listen to any creator in the world, change it to English, or it'll just be automatically, whatever. And in theory, there'll be more competition, because now you're competing with everybody. But on the other hand, there's also so much more people you can reach.
Right.
So I think there's this aspect of just trying to globalize or make finding other creators, like reaching new audiences. And so they obviously are trying to focus on growth and help creators grow and reach more people, which is awesome. I do think that I'm very interested with shorts. Shorts are always like a big debate, and like we don't really know, like they're just like kind of confusing and maybe unpredictable, but I like what I've noticed is I do feel like they're still pushing shorts. Like on your homepage, you open up YouTube, like I start seeing a ton of more shorts recently. Okay. And with the related link where you can actually watch a short, click to the full video, I think they're clearly trying to just get people from short form to long form, which is a great thing, because if people go to your long form, you're just going to make more money.
Right.
But I think, as far as like where I see YouTube going and the trends and what people should maybe look into doing, like I think video podcast honestly is like the easiest way to get started, because it can be minimal editing, and if you have interesting conversations and you can have a conversation, I think that's a big opportunity this next year. I think more and more people are watching. I know more and more people are watching YouTube on the TV. I just can't remember the exact numbers, but people watch podcasts. My wife listens to podcasts on YouTube on our TV.
Okay.
And so I think that's going to be a huge trend, just like for long form content. So I think if you don't have a video podcast yet, I think this next year could be a great time to do it. But I'm optimistic for YouTube, and I'm excited just to see. I know it's growing.
Yeah.
I don't know, what's going to happen, but I know more people are going to be using YouTube, and more people are going to start creating content.
That's awesome, dude. Appreciate you, man. Thank you again for stopping through. I'm so happy I got an opportunity to do this with you. It's been great. Hopefully everyone enjoyed and got a lot of value from it. You'll be able to find all of Nolan's socials down in the comments and in the descriptions. Be sure to follow him, support Think Media and what they're doing. Again, you all have changed lives for people in this space, man, and really created a hub for the community that you've grown. So really appreciate it again. It's been another episode of Wealthy Creator. Thank you for stopping through. Look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.